Hello, all you crypto aficionados, and we're going to talk about how you can buy Bitcoin for as little as $22,000 right now. We're also going to talk about why I hope the economy hits a hard bottom and why we actually might be getting there very, very soon. Let's talk about how you can buy Bitcoin at $22,000 right now. Now, I actually did a segment on this months ago where you could buy it at even a bigger discount, and it is with Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. Right now, if you actually look at Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, as you can see right here, the discount is 18.06%. But if you remember, in the last bull run, there was actually a pretty big premium on Grayscale. I told people to actually buy it maybe when its premium was at 50%, but now it's down to about 20%, 18.06. But if you actually look at the Bitcoin price right now, it is $27,200. 20% down from that is like $21,800. So if you buy Grayscale right now, that's like buying Bitcoin at $21,800. How Grayscale works, I believe, is 100% of GBTC shares equals one Bitcoin. So technically it should be at around like $200 right now, $210, $220 right now. And you are getting a deal if you buy it at that price. You know why? Because they just won against the SEC, and I think that discount is going to vaporize. So what happens if you buy Grayscale GBTC is you will get all the Bitcoin price appreciation plus that extra 18%. And it actually might be substantially more than 18%. You know why it's substantially more than 18%? Well, I just explained it a while ago. It's because they could actually have a premium. If you get a premium of 20%, you would get Bitcoin appreciation plus 40%. And they are very, very close to getting that ETF through. The SEC is shaking their boots. That timeline goes like this, if you didn't watch my last video, that basically the SEC has 3 months to appeal. And I don't think their appeal is going to work because you can't add any extra information on the appeal. You just have to hope the judges say like, hey, those other guys got it wrong. But since the SEC didn't provide any evidence in the initial case, it's unlikely the appeal would actually work for the SEC. So the thing is, like, a lot of analysts are actually predicting that we're going to get a Bitcoin ETF within the next 3 or 4 months. And Grayscale is probably on the docket. It really doesn't matter if BlackRock and such get their ETF, as long as Grayscale does. If they convert it to an ETF, that premium, that discount is going to go away overnight, and you're going to get that 20% automatically, which would be like buying Bitcoin at $22,000 right now. A lot of you I know are thinking like, I'm going to wait until Bitcoin reaches 23K to buy Bitcoin. Why not just buy it at $22,000 right now? Yes, there is a risk, the whole DCG Genesis thing, that Grayscale goes kaput, but I actually don't think that's going to happen. I think the chances of that are very, very few. And I think like at most they'll divest Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. They won't just like tank it altogether. And of course, their assets are actually held by Coinbase. So I think people's assets are actually going to be fine for Grayscale. So if you want Bitcoin at 22K, you have an opportunity right now. You don't need to wait until the market tanks again. You can buy it for $22,000 right now. And you could have bought it for much less than $22,000 had you bought a couple months ago when I made the first video about Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. Remember, even in my crypto tier list video, I put Grayscale Bitcoin Trust as an S tier investment because they had a bigger discount then. I think it was 25 then. And I knew they were going to go up with Bitcoin. Now, at that time, I did not know they were going to kick the SEC's ass in the lawsuit. But now that's why their discount actually went down again to 18% because they pwned the SEC in a lawsuit. And I do believe within the next couple of months, they will indeed convert to their own ETF. And even if they don't, I don't think you're going to lose out that much because even with the fund, last time it was not an ETF and you still got a big premium. It's only like when the market went down that they actually went into discount mode. So for me, Grayscale, unless the whole DCG Genesis thing erupts and like they just decide to liquidate Grayscale, which would be really dumb, by the way. I don't even know if they legally can. I don't think they actually can. Unless something weird happens there, I think it's fairly safe to actually say that you're going to get that discount back with Grayscale plus whatever BTC appreciation there is. And that is a big, big boon for any crypto investor looking to buy cheap Bitcoins. And you don't want to wait. If you wait some more, September might actually not be that bad if you actually look at it. I mean, despite like, like you have this winning lawsuit and the PCE job numbers, I think the job numbers are actually going to be pretty bad in September. And that usually would cause a crypto crash. But I actually think the job numbers being bad will actually help crypto rise. And we'll talk about that in a while as well. So there's a lot of positive signs pointing for September. Yes, September is usually bearish. I will give you that. But historical trends don't always hold true, and there's no real reason for them to actually hold true. So the thing is, if Bitcoin starts going up in September, that discount is going to go away. I don't think you should actually take the risk of like not buying Bitcoin at basically $22,000 right now, just for it going down any further and that discount going away. I think because Grayscale won the lawsuit, that discount's probably going to go away anyways, regardless if Bitcoin goes up or goes down. So basically, do you think Bitcoin's going to dip 20% in September? I don't think so. Therefore, I think right now, it's better to buy right now if you're on GBTC and you want that $22,000 Bitcoin. Because I personally don't think Bitcoin's going to $22,000 in September. So that, folks, is how you can buy Bitcoin at $22,000 right now. Now we're going to talk about why I hope the economy is going to tank and why I hope job reports are bad. That might sound evil, but those of us invested in the crypto industry know this very well. The Fed is hell-bent on reducing inflation, and one of the indicators they look at is the jobs report. If the jobs report is good and not many people are getting fired or laid off, then the economy to them will stay strong and inflation will keep rising, or at least maintain. They want to cut that inflation down, and one of the few ways to do it is for unemployment to rise, for people to not be able to get jobs, for people to become poor in the economy, and when they do, they can't afford to buy as much stuff. Demand goes down, and then because demand goes down, things will even start to deflate, and that will actually bring prices down. It will also bring energy down because people aren't traveling as much. Although that has more to do with like the Saudis and them restricting supply than anything else that we actually do. But if the price of goods starts coming down, then they can actually start reversing that inflation ticker. Now, I don't think they'll get desperate enough to go into QE unless there's a huge, huge fallout. And that would be bad for the entire economy. But if there is somewhat of a hard landing right now, I do think that would actually be good for crypto investments. Maybe not for the economy and people as a whole, but for crypto investments. Because the hard landing, I think crypto's already had its hard landing, so I don't think it'll actually impact crypto that much. As long as they don't raise interest rates, I don't think crypto will be impacted that much. And if we have a hard landing, let's say unemployment goes up by 1 full percentage point in this report, then I think like the Fed will definitely not raise interest rates, and that will be very, very bullish for crypto. And if employment continues to go down, they will start to ease up on those interest rates a lot sooner than we think. And that's really what we're after. It's all about those interest rates. Because remember, we talked about this many times before. Interest rates make crypto less competitive against bonds and stocks. If those rates start coming down, the bonds won't be as attractive because you can't generate as much passive income. Right now, you're at about 5% passive income per year on long-term bonds. Very few people are going to buy crypto when you can get 5% safely on bonds. But if that comes down to 3% or 2%, you just watch. Those same people will start to ape into crypto for better opportunities. Hell, 5% is better than a lot of the staking rewards out there for crypto. I'm not talking about DeFi. DeFi is like really risky. That's another category. But like on-chain staking, 5% is in the middle. Like there are many chains actually under 5%. Yes, there is like Cosmos and Dot that's way above, but many of these other chains are actually below 5%. So that 5% is actually looking very, very attractive for some investors. And we need that to become less attractive. And as long as the rates are up, that's not going to become less attractive. So we need those rates to go down. So right now what I'm hoping for is it's reported that the job numbers are going to be a million worse than we initially thought. And that's very, very good news for crypto. If that continues to hold true and the PCI numbers are okay, then the Fed will probably not raise rates in September or November. And if they don't do that, that could signal a Fed reversal early next year. Remember, Jerome Powell in his Jackson Hole speech basically said they're going to do things a lot more carefully now because they're seeing a lot of smaller banks have trouble and they don't really want to tank everything. But I personally think we need to get this over with and we need somewhat of a hard landing. Not too hard, but at least somewhat of a hard landing and stop trying to drag this out. Because Powell is basically trying to drag this out. as long as possible to get that soft landing. But I don't want to wait for another 2 years. I think if we get the hard landing, you get like a big uptick, maybe 5.5% unemployment. I think he'll actually get those interest rates down much faster, and that'll be a much faster rebound for crypto, which will, by the way, align with our bull run next year. I do think like if we get that harder landing, like towards the end of the year, they'll start reducing interest rates early on next year. And by the time we get to a true bull run later on next year, it'll really start to affect things. We'll be down at like 3% interest rate. And I think at that point, not only will the halving get people in, and not only will the ETF stuff get people in, the interest rate itself makes those bonds much less attractive, and that will pull a lot of people in, and that will give us a mega bull run rather than just sort of a bull run. So that's why I'm hoping that the job numbers are actually bad this time around. Not because I want people to be unemployed, but because the thing is like, that's going to increase anyways, and I kind of wanted to get it over with as soon as possible for the markets to actually come up, because the markets are not going to come up as long as the Fed's holding the interest rate hostage because the economy still looks strong. If the economy starts to look weaker, then I think it's going to be better for crypto sooner. So that's why I'm hoping the economy looks weak. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.